Hi, I'm Alex.
I did that last time.
I'm Paul. This is Alex. We're with the Couch Crew, and we're doing a review of Captain America 2:
The Winter Soldier. Directed by Anthony and
Joe Russo, who apparently
as an aside, they won an Emmy for their work on Arrested Development, which we both love. So
great show. Go watch it. It's on Netflix now.
Watch it on Netflix. Make them get so many views that they have to do a 5th season. Make it happen.
Agreed. Asides aside, I'm very pleased with my purchase of a ticket for Captain America 2. I had pretty high expectations from other reviews that I had read going into it, and
the IGN review.
IGN review, they gave it a 9. I'm not sure if I'd like it that much, but overall, I thought it was pretty good, and at the very least, a very serviceable sequel.
I agree with that, for the most part. You liked it a little bit more than I did, but
I think so. But
there's no thinking. That's just kind of a fact.
Okay, it's a fact. Anyways, let's talk about some of the attributes of the film. What did you think about the actors?
Pretty good for the most part. The only one I didn't really care for, and I mean, I'll just wait until we talk about characters to say.
Well, I just think we were going to do
together?
it.
Okay. Well, I don't know his name. The one who played the Winter Soldier himself.
I don't know who played the Winter Soldier either. We probably should have had that figured out. But anyway.
Whatever. That guy, he acted it fine. It was just, the movie's called The Winter Soldier, and he's in it for maybe 20, 25 minutes. It's like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, he's not the biggest part of that movie at all.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a side story, so
it's a subset of the story.
Yeah.
And when they try to have any sort of like emotional attachment to it, I mean, I understood it. I just didn't care. They didn't spend enough time on it.
Yeah,
for my tastes.
The Winter Soldier actually is a character. I'm not going to reveal too much, but it's a character we've seen before. If you've read the
comics, you know who it is.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a character you've seen before. But even in the previous Captain America film, this other character isn't given a lot of screen time anyway. So it's
he's given a fair amount.
But you don't really get to know his character
that
well.
No, not
so
at all.
I thought that was kind of shoehorned in a sense. It just wasn't really that important.
Yeah.
I don't know why they thought the audience would care that much. But whoever played the Winter Soldier, he did a good job though. He was pretty menacing in his role, and he just walks down the street nonchalantly, just pulls out a grenade launcher and just blows up a car. Just does not give a fuck at all.
Yeah,
he is very cool, and in that sense, I do really like him.
He also has a metal arm.
Right.
A la Edward Elric, but yeah.
Whatever. We digress. What do you think about Chris Evans?
Watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Full Metal Alchemist. Okay, now continue.
What do you think about Chris Evans in this?
I thought, I liked the first Captain America. I just didn't think he was particularly good in it. He was much better in this one. He was more believable in that he was from the 40s and he got frozen.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Overall, I will admit, I really didn't like the first one all that much. It was kind of
like a typical, let's put this out there so we can put him in this movie kind of movie.
It felt like almost like a trailer or like a prequel for the Avengers rather than its own movie.
Mm-hmm.
What I really loved about this one is they let Captain America be his own thing. Like,
he's a complete badass. I'll just put it that way.
God, like he didn't get to do much in the Avengers.
In the Avengers, he was pretty much the weakest one out of the 4. I'm kind of speechless about how much of a difference there is in this one.
Like, once you watch this movie, you're like, I do not want to mess with Captain America.
Yeah.
No one in their right mind would ever mess with Captain America.
Yep.
So Chris Evans, he plays it cool, he plays it smart, but he's still very likable, very relatable, even though he's kind of still going through the from the 40s.
At one point, he pulls out a book, and it just has a list of like references in pop culture that he's missed. He has to go back and look at.
Has to go back and look at.
Nirvana was one of them.
But
Disco, that was one of them.
One of the things I really loved, though, was they actually made him being frozen for so long a service not just to the plot, but to, like, the story as what it means. And it's about kind of the changing climate to...
Although, I agree, but I think they should have stressed it a little bit more. Almost in the sense that I wish they would have stressed the Winter Soldier a little more.
True. Only so much time in a day.
Exactly, and I know that's why they didn't, but it would have made it more emotionally satisfying if they had.
Yeah. Alex and I were talking about this earlier, but I agree with him. He said this, and I agree. I feel like they did leave a lot on the chopping block.
They did. Well, it's like we were talking about it. We got some food after. We were just talking over that, and I said to him, if I wrote that movie, it would have been 3 hours long.
Which is also a testament to how good of a movie it is, though, because you could have sat there and watched a more extended 3-hour movie.
Well, I'm not sure everyone would like that, but you would have fleshed out a ton more.
Sure, absolutely.
Which, honestly, would have made it a stronger movie than it was.
Yeah, but back to what I was saying earlier, he's kind of out of his element saying, I'm from this time, I'm from a time where the good of mankind meant this, and now in this new digital age, when things...
That was a big part of it.
It's not only him coming to grips with the time difference, it's also the times coming to grips with the times.
Yeah.
And so I thought that instead of this just being some plot detail that he was from that, it actually made the movie work better.
Well, but at the same time, if you didn't have that, that's almost like a slap in the face because that's so central to his character.
True.
At least in the movies it is.
I know, like, Avengers, you couldn't really focus on Captain America a lot. But I thought that was one of the things that was kind of missing in the Avengers. Is there's just it's like, well, there was Captain America, and I guess it's
the movie would have been fine without him.
Yeah,
that's what his character was in it.
But this with with who he is as a character and what he has to deal with, it's also he's able to become a commentary on something.
Yeah,
which is much more service than he's really gotten before.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about Chris Evans enough.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Nick
Fury.
Like, there's nothing I can really say about him at this point, because if you've seen any of the movies that have had Nick Fury in it...
If you've seen Avengers, it's the exact same, more or less.
Which is a good thing for me. I like Samuel
it's pretty
Jackson.
typical, just you don't really expect anything different.
Yeah. So. He does his job. If you like Nick Fury, you'll like him. He's a BA as usual. You finally do get to see under the patch. Gasp. Not that it's a big deal.
Another eye. Oh my god.
He has an eye where an eye should be. Oh my goodness.
Except you can't see out of it, but whatever.
But, so yeah, I mean, I liked him as much. What about the new character? God, I don't remember who plays him, but Falcon? What'd you think of him?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure he was particularly necessary, but he was a good, It was a good way to see how being a soldier for Captain America back in the 40s and being a soldier, he had just been discharged, I think, right?
Yeah,
he had served two tours in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It was a good way to see that soldiers from each time period were actually pretty similar.
They're on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
terms of a lot of what they believe.
And honestly, that that's great, but it also turns him into kind of a one-note character, which I didn't like.
Though, I'll be happy to see him in Captain America 3 or whatever.
I agree.
I have no problems with him at all.
Sure.
So I thought it was overall a good addition. Yet again, I feel like this is one of those areas where there's probably some left on the chopping block.
They tried with the whole VA thing.
Right.
But, I agree.
Yeah. Now let's talk about what we've been wanting to talk about.
Scarlett Johansson.
Woo!
So if you've watched our previous review, I think I mentioned in it that I would have sex with her voice.
That's still true.
It's still true. But go ahead. Well, before the movie, we were having a conversation about it, and I said, I will be satisfied if I see her ass in that like skin tight suit 2 times.
I was pretty hopeful. Unfortunately, I say one. We got one good shot of the.
There was one shot of it. I will give you that, but I will not count it because it was not close enough.
So if you're looking for a Scarlett Johansson booty shot, sorry,
There's one, but it's from a good distance.
You might want to find a different movie, like Vicky. Oh God, what's that? It's something in Vicky Barcelona is a good movie for that. Anyways,
there's some pretty good ones in Iron Man 2.
We digress. So Scarlett Johansson, amazing. She actually gets fleshed out a lot more, I felt, in a couple different
ways. I don't
ways.
think she got fleshed out a lot more. I think they did a good job of continuing her story, though. A big part of her story was actually told in Iron Man 2. And the Avengers, really. Iron Man 2, she was introduced as the covert agent. Avengers, we find out that she was ex-KGB and that she has a bunch of different identities. And then they take it further in this one.
But in this one, it's like, she tends to just be kind of a character that you know what she's going to do. And this, she actually has a couple choices that she can make, which is good.
Yeah, I agree. But especially with this movie, there's been talk that she'll get her own, and I could see her after this movie having her own movie.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's...
I mean, let's be honest. I wouldn't be going for the movie part of it. That would just be like the cherry on top.
Yeah, like, as long as we get a couple of them booty shots.
Such a fucking pig.
It's Scarlett Johansson, okay? That's exceptional. That's well, I wouldn't have this reaction for a lot of other actresses. I would not.
I also had to, after the movie, say to Paul, why the fuck would Ryan Reynolds divorce her?
I was like, Ryan Reynolds divorced her? What a fucking idiot! I know they were married in the first place. I did say, if for some ungodly reason, I ever ended up with somebody like that would be enough for like 2 lifetimes for me. And then you just pray that you can give enough to that person that they would want to stay with you for that long. But we're not Hollywood actors, so I guess we don't know. Anyways, we're getting way too off track.
Okay, I think that's pretty good for characters.
Let's take Scarlett Johansson's booty and put it off to the side.
There's one more character I want to talk about. Alexander Pierce's character. Or no, that's the guy's name. What's the... I forget his name. He's pretty famous. He's been in a lot of stuff.
I don't... Really?
Yeah.
Anyways, whoever plays Alexander Pierce...
He I want to say he won an Oscar once.
Maybe. Well, we'll have to look at it later. He did an okay job. I liked him overall.
I thought he was pretty good in it, considering.
I was going to leave this to later, but I guess we can get to it now. We'll start talking about some of the aspects of the movie we didn't like. I felt that the villains as a whole were kind of cookie cutter.
And that's part of the reason that I wanted the Winter Soldier to be more of a focus.
Right.
Because he's not a like just plain evil villain. Yeah.
But it's like these villains, they're the proverbial Nazis. They're just
if you've seen the first one, or if you know anything about Hydra, they're Hydra.
Yeah, they're Hydra, and it's like they're evil, so they're gonna do evil things.
Although we did talk about this before too, their logic did kind of make sense. It's just if it would have been fleshed out a little more, it would have been better. But it would have made it more morally gray on where you stood.
Yeah. And there's hundreds of people that are apparently a part of Hydra in this film, and you're like, how would Hydra... How would they get that many faults? Like, I get that some people would definitely say, we can't let people rule themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to mess it up, so we have to. But to the lengths that they go to, I don't think that many people
Especially, we're not going to spoil it, but how they get brought up.
Yeah.
How the fuck would that go unnoticed?
So, I think there was stuff that they could have done better in that scenario. I really love having really good villains that you really relate with.
We got spoiled by The Dark Knight in terms of comic book movies, villains.
Whenever we talk about a comic book villain, The Dark Knight's gonna get brought up. Sorry, but it's the...
Oh, by the way, R.I.P. Heath Ledger. He would have been 35 today.
Rest in peace.
Thank you for the Joker.
Amen. Anyways, besides the villains, was there anything else that you really didn't like about the film?
Just the whole thing where I wish they would have fleshed out a lot more.
Yeah.
But you can't do that in 2 hours.
And that's the thing. I think.
Although they started it pretty slow. They could have cut out some of what they had in the beginning.
I thought that first scene was really cool, though. Or that first sequence was really cool, though.
Which sequence?
The raid.
The raid.
Like on the ship.
Oh yeah.
Like, I thought that was really cool overall. But yeah, it was pretty. I will agree. It was pretty slow going.
Between that and between where all the the fake cop scene with Fury, there was a lot in there you could have cut out. Like the whole thing with Scarlett, or why can't I remember her name? Natasha Romanoff, yeah. Black Widow, trying to get Steve Rogers a girlfriend. You didn't have to have any of that.
Yeah, but they like to kind of insinuate that the two of them are friends and they're kind of giving each other shit, and that's.
I guess I didn't think it was necessary. Yeah. So, they could have done something else at that time.
It does suffer to an extent for the comic book movie syndrome of this needs to be like a 2-hour movie and have this, and this type of fan service and really stay close to stuff rather than just being a really good movie by itself.
Yep.
I will say this though, I don't remember the last movie that had action I loved as much as this movie.
That
for some of the gripes we have about the villains and stuff.
They could fight.
They could fight. And it's...
honestly, I think especially compared to Avengers, where so much of that was CGI.
Yeah.
Most of this probably wasn't.
And the cool thing about this is, you don't have, like, the Hulk that has to be done in CGI. You don't have Thor...
Well, like the Chitauri from the Avengers.
Right.
That are all CGI.
You didn't have to have that, and you got to see people fighting and being really cool.
Yeah.
I do have to go back and hand it to...
night work.
Whether I doubt it's the guy that actually plays.
It was probably the stunt
Soldier.
double. It was probably the stunt double.
But the way that this guy is just flipping around a knife as he's just beating the crap out of Captain America is just, it's ridiculous. And the carnage that just regular humans do in this movie is astounding. There's this one part where a lot of the characters are kind of hiding behind a bus by suppressive fire, and then a guy just walks out with a minigun and just goes straight through it. And
he demolishes
it, and it's crazy. And there's also some really cool stuff that's done with a grenade launcher at one point, and the action is great. It's the best in my opinion. It has the best action of any Marvel film I've seen today. So. Overall, what would you give Captain America: Super Winter Soldier?
7, 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
And like I've done with our past 2 video reviews with the Lego Movie and her, our review system for the both of us,
6.5 is a decent score.
Right? Some people say it's only 6.5. It's not a good movie then. No.
If it's not a good movie, it's like a 2.
Yeah, if it's a horrible movie, it's like a 2. But if it's not a good movie, it's probably like a 4.
Yeah.
5 is like you're on the fence.
6.5 or 7.
6.5 or 7.
It wasn't a masterpiece by any means, but go see it. It was a good movie.
For me personally, I love the action so much. I thought it was such an improvement over the first Captain America, which I wasn't really in love with. And the fact that they were really... I don't want to spoil anything. They were actually willing to make big ramifications on the rest of the Marvel movies from here to come.
Yep.
I was so excited coming out of that movie. I was so happy with what I had seen.
Especially the after the credit scene, that sets up really good for Avengers 2.
Right. But because of all that, I'm going to give it a pretty high 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think especially if you just love action movies,
go see it.
Just go see it. I don't know someone that I wouldn't recommend this for. I think that if you go pay $10, $11 for a ticket, go see this movie.
You'll enjoy it.
You'll enjoy it. I don't see how you couldn't. So,
yeah.
Anyways, that was what we thought. We hope you enjoyed our review, and
thanks for watching.
See you next time on the Couch Crew. What?